Hello, teachers. Jay Fullmer here. Let's take a look at Mosiah chapter 5, verses 6 through 15 about taking on a new name. Let me give you some ideas for starting the lesson strong and creating some energy in the class. First of all, there are 3 questions here at the beginning of the lesson as part of the attention-getting activity, the activity that helps prepare the students for what's coming. I think having those 3 questions, or in other words, using those 3 questions, might slow things down a little bit. Let me offer this suggestion. Let's get rid of at least that middle question. These questions are to help you to get an idea of what we want our students to discover. We may or may not need to use the questions in order to help them discover it. Let me tell you what I mean. In the first question, what are some reasons the orphan may want to be adopted and take the name of their new family? If you ask that question in class, and then invite a student to answer, Sarah says, maybe for safety. Great answer. Tell me more about that. This now gives Sarah a chance to elaborate a bit more on what she means. In essence, it takes the place of this question. What blessings could their new mother and father offer that an orphan could not provide on their own? If you feel like students aren't quite getting that idea, feel free to insert that as a follow-up question. Safety is a great example. Is that something that an orphan could have provided on their own? And then give students a chance to discuss. So to help engage students right away and create energy as you start the class, use follow-up questions and invite students by name. And then if you want to wrap it up by asking, how might the orphan feel about their new family? 1 or 2 comments will help lead right into the next section. Here, it wants us to help students remember that some of King Benjamin's people were Nephites and others were descendants of Mulek. On the Fullmer Gems channel, you can scroll right down to the Picture Gems playlist. I'll put a link to that in the description. And it might be useful to review the Omni Picture Gems if you feel like students don't quite understand why there are so many different groups there that King Benjamin is addressing. You may want to quickly establish that it's not just 2 groups that we're talking about, Nephites and descendants of Mulek. Remember that Nephites consist of multiple tribal groups. Nephites, Jacobites, Josephites, Zoramites, and perhaps other unnamed groups. And the descendants of Mulek, there's no sense of unity there. The person that we've met in the book of Omni was Zarahemla. He was a descendant of Mulek, but he wasn't even a king. He was a leader of some kind, and we find that there were many wars and contentions over the hundreds of years during the history of the descendants of Mulek, and that they were more numerous than the Nephites. This seems to indicate lots of different groups. So when King Benjamin is trying to unite the people, like in a family, he's got lots of different people with different ideologies or beliefs or cultures that he's addressing. As a quick note, right after this, there's a chart, and they want students to read a section of verses in order to identify blessings of taking upon them the name of the Savior and how. This may be obvious to you. It wasn't initially to me. Right here are the verses that they want the students to read, verses 6 through 10. The obvious ones are Mosiah 5, 1 to 5, but they're just reviewing the previous day's lesson. So these are the verses that they want to involve. Maybe that was obvious to you. I just thought I'd mention it. This is such an important topic. There are many different groups that are asking us to identify ourselves with them and demanding our loyalty. There are many names that we might take upon ourselves. We come from many different cultures and backgrounds and embrace different ideologies. But lasting peace and joy only comes as we unify ourselves under one name, and that is Jesus Christ. Can you feel how important this message is for our youth in the world they live in today? May the Lord bless you as you share this amazing doctrine with your students.